Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 might be the most specific RPG I've ever played. Everything from its location, to its era, to its combat, to its clothing feels hyper-tuned, dialed in with precision to suit oddball tastes. Looking for a sweeping fantasy romp? You won't find one. Like its predecessor, this is a game whose story springs inevitably from the politics of its time and place. The Kingdom of Bohemia in 1403. Want to mow down your foes by the dozen? Good luck. Charging into the fray even in the late game is liable to get you cut apart. Want to equip a halberd without first equipping a padded gambeson beneath it? What are you, some kind of moron?
He's not doing it on purpose. He's just a prick.
Like I say, oddball tastes, but they happen to match mine exactly. And my only regret after 75 hours or so with KCD2 is that the demands of having to review the thing compel me to sprint to its endpoint. I'd happily have spent another 75 hours getting chivalrous in the Bohemian Crownlands. This is a new RPG classic, and a successor in tone and feel to the great mavericks of old, ragged edges and all. KCD2 follows on directly from the first game. You're still Henry of Skalitz, blacksmith's son, noble bastard, orphaned when mercenaries attacked your town, and companion to Lord Hans Capon of Perkstein.
I'm Lord Capon's advisor and scribe, and now an envoy as well.
Bohemia is in the grip of war, torn between supporters of the abducted King Wenceslas of Bohemia and supporters of his abductor and brother, the future Holy Roman Emperor Sigismund. Capon's lordly guardians are Wenceslas supporters and have dispatched him, Henry, and a retinue of protectors to deliver a letter to Otto von Berghoff, one of the foremost allies of Sigismund, with an eye to putting an end to the whole internecine thing.
Our message concerns the offer of an alliance. That it seems you need as much as we do right now.
It all goes really, really well, and everyone gets to go home. Oh, no, wait, sorry. It all goes to hell pretty much immediately, and before long Henry and Hans are AWOL on a quest that sees them jumping through all the mad loopholes and imbrications of 15th century Central European politics, hopping from faction to faction in a plot that gets tense and intriguing, particularly if you're the kind of dork who'll get very excited by the presence of historical figures like Jan Žižka and Emperor Sigismund. Their mission doesn't just take them through the haut monde of medieval Bohemia, it brings them into contact with the periphery of society too. Jewish people, Roma, even a roaming Muslim scholar pop up to offer a glimpse into life outside the velvet confines of the imperial court. And while their tales aren't always masterful, they always feel well-meaning.
Punch me in the face.
What?
Smack me in the gob. I'll say I was ambushed on the way and they took the letter.
It's a period with great fodder for anyone who likes sinking their teeth into meaty political plots, and chucks plenty of difficult choices and moral compromises at you. But where the Euro RPGs of yore delighted in visiting you with the consequences of your choices, it does sometimes feel like KCD2 pulls its punches on that front.
Fuck you!
A choice that might, for instance, seem to be about choosing which of your companions dies might resolve with a hand wave. Actually, all the named characters are fine, but boy, we had you there for a second, eh? It's a lack of sadism that shears some choices of weight. It's the game's systemic ambitions that really elevate it though. There are times when Warhorse's simulation of a medieval world approaches stalker levels of zeal. Stole something from someone's house without being spotted? All well and good. But if someone spied you hanging around there, they'll still put two and two together and report you to the guards. I once got chased out of a fortress because I'd absent-mindedly equipped a stolen ring and then walked past the schmuck I took it from.
That's not happening. Surrender at once!
All right! You caught me!
It's that kind of world. A world of rules, a world that feels interested in itself for its own sake, and that feels to some extent like it happens independent of you, the player. It's a world that lets you cheat your way to the top. It obeys its own rules to your detriment and your advantage. Seen an impossibly expensive set of armour in a shop, KCD2 is more than happy for you to break in after dark and pull it right out of the storekeep's stockroom. Just don't wear it in front of him. Want to take advantage of every skill trainer on the map to buff up your abilities way ahead of the endgame? The money you pay for their training goes right into their eminently pickpocketable inventory. It's a game that usually answers the question, wait, couldn't I just, with a resounding, yes, absolutely. And then, if you're like me, you spend about 5 hours robbing a single castle of all its incredibly valuable loot, armour, weapons and clothing. It has no problem letting you feel like you've gotten one over on it. By the time you become a whirlwind of death, it's partially down to all your skill points, sure, but it's also a product of you making sense of the game's angle-based combat system, its combos, knowing how to maneuver and approach foes, and what the deficiencies of the AI are that let you chalk up a few stealth or ranged kills before the fight kicks off properly. And where I remember hearing horror stories of bugs and technical weirdness on KCD1's launch, The second game has been pretty bug-free in my playing. All its ambitious systems seem to truly work, discounting a few oddities and, well, a frankly huge number of typos in the game's subtitles and menus, which I hope get patched promptly. Just as it did with Kingdom Come Deliverance, developer Warhorse Studios has used Crytek's CryEngine for coding the game, though it's been heavily modified from the base system. Compared to Unreal Engine 5, it might seem a little old school as there's no support for ray tracing, virtual geometry or other cutting-edge rendering techniques, but that doesn't mean the graphics in Deliverance 2 aren't up to scratch. NPCs and other models are all detailed with high-resolution textures, and the lush forests and rolling landscapes are all visually stunning. Screen space reflections and occlusion aren't as accurate as ray tracing, but it does mean it's easier to scale the graphics load across different hardware. That means you don't need a brand new high-end gaming PC to enjoy Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. From entry-level laptops to old GPUs paired with even older CPUs, the game will easily hit over 60 frames per second at 1080p and 1440p. Owners of Intel Arc cards will be pleased to know that the game really likes the Alchemist architecture, more so than some of Nvidia's older designs. However, if you want to use the highest graphics settings at 4K, then you'll need something like an RTX 4080 Super or an RX 7900 XCX. The sweet spot for graphics versus performance is 1440p and the high quality preset. The visual improvements are fairly subtle with higher graphics settings, and while it looks great at 4K, rendering all of the vegetation at that resolution is seriously hard on the GPU. Deliverance 2 will work the CPU quite hard too, but 6-core, 12-thread processors are more than up to the job. Best of all, upscaling is only needed if you're using low-end hardware, or you're just aiming for the maximum frame rate. Gamers looking for super accurate ray tracing or performance boosting frame generation might be disappointed by Kingdom Come Deliverance 2's last gen approach, but the relative lack of the latest rendering technology is more than compensated by the smooth and stutter-free gaming experience. Compared to the state of many big game launches in 2024, this one is an absolute delight. Bohemia, it turns out, is large. KCD2 features 2 alarmingly sizable maps stuffed to high heaven with things to do. It's the kind of pitch that could easily get tedious, like clearing all the Witcher 3's question marks. But so long as you approach them without a fanatically completionist fervour, they just act as a big grab bag of things to do. Activities and distractions that root you in the world and act as yet more means to give yourself an advantage. There's hunting, bandit camps, strays to dig up, side quests to trigger, all the things you expect, along with blacksmithing, alchemy, dice, treasure maps, and who knows what else. So far as I can tell, medieval Czechia is one big freshers' fair full of exciting new hobbies to take up, and getting good at any of them hands you new skill and perk points, plus new weapons and potions from blacksmithing and alchemy, to use in your daily pursuit of slaughtering your enemies. But the point is that, even over its ample runtime, KCD2 manages to maintain a sense of momentum and unfurling between all its stuff to do and the zigs and zags of its plot. You're a soldier, now a spy, now a gambler, now a blacksmith. The arc of its medieval life simulator is long and varied. About 50 hours in, the game suddenly sprung a whole Thieves Guild questline on me to finally make use of those stealth skills I've been underusing for the rest of my playthrough. KCD2 feels a bit miraculous, a ludicrously ambitious and peculiar thing that somehow makes good on its ambition and peculiarity, managing to hit the highs Warhorse aimed for in the first game but perhaps fell just short of. It feels tailor-made for a certain brand of systems-loving sicko, the kind of person who will still get starry-eyed about Stalker and Morrowind, and manages to actually make good on their, or at least my, nostalgic yearning for those halcyon games of old.